Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the 63. I've got a list of things on the wall that I'll show you in a second, all of which involve getting the car up in the air and getting the engine out first of all. Apologies for the background noise, it's absolutely throwing it down here, so the rain on the roof is making a racket, so that's what that noise is. So yeah, I'll show you this list and then we'll get the car up in the air and drain the fluids out of it. There we go. Step one, replace the clutch. While the engine's out for that, we're going to do an oil cooler, oil temperature sender, do some heat management on the inlet manifold, install the boost controller, install and wire up the race dash, and throw some carpets in it as well. Plus whatever else comes to mind as I'm going along. Right, after a bit of a struggle, it's on the bench. I haven't taken the clutch off yet, so we're both going to look at this together and see what state it's in. But not with that. Try this one instead. Yep, there we go. Come on, Gilda, don't let me down. Some high, away we go. One. Smells very burnt. Yeah. Okay, last one, here we go. Yeah, that's knackered. Deary me. Right, I'll get some better pictures of that with my my phone, some close-ups, and we'll see what state that is. Right, I don't know whether you can see that, but this clutch is knackered. This disc is probably, I don't know, certainly less than 1,000 miles, probably less than 500 miles old, and it is completely ruined. Okay, the flywheel itself doesn't look that bad. It feels quite smooth. There's no obvious ridges in it or anything like that, so that's, I mean, it's pretty burnt looking, but it's not bad. And then the pressure plate up here is actually, I've put a straight edge on it, but it's actually not warped at all. So yeah, I don't know what to do now. I think I'm going to have a new clutch made because I'm just sort of chasing my tail here, trying to find one that doesn't slip. The one that it came with was a Kennedy Blackmagic. Hang on a second. It was this Kennedy Blackmagic disc, which also slipped a lot. I'm reluctant to put it back in just because it's such a pain to get it out again. This is probably okay, because I think the reason that it slipped last time was the clutch assembly was getting contaminated. So I could put that back in, or I could sell the pressure plate. I've got another brand new pressure plate that I haven't used yet, and send the whole lot off to CG Motorsports and get them to make me a new clutch, which I think is what I'm going to do because it's more cost effective that way. So yeah, let's get this cleaned up anyway and see what it looks like with a bit of brake clean on it. Just have to show you this, the amount of clutch material in there as part of the pressure plate. That's all just dry clutch disc. Yeah, that was slipping quite badly. Yep, time for a new one. So that's the clutch off. There's nothing more I can do with that now. I need to take some measurements so that CG Motorsports can figure out how to make the new one. So I'll do that separately off camera. But the next thing I want to do is look at these intake runners. So there's two here, two on either side, and then the plenum itself. I painted them black to try and tidy things up a bit, but I've since realised that it's not really ideal, that, and they need protecting from heat soak. Obviously the engine's getting hot, the turbo's right there, and trying to keep the air inside this cool is going to help performance. So I'm going to take these off, take the plenum off, and wrap it in some gold heat wrap tape. I've never done that before. I've done no idea how easy it is. Obviously I can't do these castings at the end here, so I'm going to have to finish it there and go up, but that's hopefully going to be enough. So yeah, get these off and deal with that next. Right, while you were looking the other way, I did a bit of heat management, so I've put some heat reflective gold tape on the intake runners and the plenum chamber. This stuff was really difficult to get smooth, so consequently it's got quite a few wrinkles in it, which I'm not over thrilled about, but it's going to be mostly hidden when the engine's back in anyway. The other thing I did is just finish off wrapping this top section of the header here, which was exposed before, so that's all nice and neat and covered up with heat wrap now. So the next thing now is sort out the exhaust. I think if you watched one of my previous videos you would have seen I made an exhaust that came from the turbo and out through the wing and down through a silencer. It mounts onto the turbo with a V-band. I put a sleeve coupling here-ish, but that was leaking. I changed it for a V-band, but because the angles weren't quite right, it wasn't quite sealing properly, and you can see where it's been blowing on the turbo flange there. So I've got this thing, a short flexi, which I'm going to put on the exhaust that mounts to the car, because that's the bit that's got the straighter part on it, and a V-band on the end of that to connect into this pipe that comes out the turbo here. I'll put it all together and you'll see what I mean. It'll make sense then. But it's that pipe there that's a bit bashed as well because the wheel keeps hitting it, and it goes through the wing there. So this is going to go there-ish. So yeah, take the pipe out and then figure out what I'm doing, take the wrap off it, cut it down and weld this on. The last guy doesn't know what he's talking about, it won't fit there at all, so I've put it there instead next to the turbo. So that's all nicely clamped on. I'll make sure that V-band hasn't warped with the welding. I don't think it has, but I'll just double check. And then obviously it all needs wrapping, but that can be done when it's back in the car. But for now it's got that nice little bit of flexibility in it so that all these V-bands will seal without leaking, and it'll just take up that tiny bit of vibration that it's going to have. So yeah, very pleased with that. On to the next thing. And the next thing is this. This is the turbo oil feed. It goes from the case down there all the way up into the turbo. But halfway along it, it's got this fitting here to take off high pressure oil to the pressure gauge on the dashboard. Obviously the new dash is electronic, so I don't need that. So I'm just going to replace the whole thing. And I'm going to replace it with this, some new Dash 4 stainless steel braided hose with brand new AN fittings, because I've got this thing here, which will allow me to put in a 1/8 MPT pressure suspender halfway along the line. So that's that. The existing pipe is Dash 4, but for some reason I can't get those new Dash 4 fittings over the braiding, so I'm just replacing the whole lot. It's easier that way. So yeah, that's the first thing to do. I've already put one fitting on the end of there, as you can see. I'll do the fitting on the other end and then cut its length and fit it to the car. Okay, so it's a few days later and I've had a bit of a rethink here. This end that was at the engine block has got this banjo fitting on it, and that went through a banjo bolt through this adapter from whatever size that is down to M10, which is the size of the hole in the crankcase up there. That's where the oil pressure switch used to be. So in order to do it all properly, I've decided to go fully AN. So I've got an M10 to AN4 adapter, a 45-degree fitting to come away from the pushrod tubes, and then at the other end, has it gone? Right up there, I've got an AN4 adapter for on top of the turbo, and a 90-degree to go on top of that. So that goes on top of the turbo, like that, there. So yeah, so the next thing to do now is chop that frayed end off there, just back to sort of here-ish. Put the AN fitting on that end, work out the length of the other pipe, and put the fitting on and connect it all up. Right, after a huge struggle to get that on there, you can probably see blood on the masking tape. I've left the tape on to keep the braiding in place. That's now on. So we've got the adapter next. I've put some PTFE tape around it and a copper sealing washer, and that then screws into that hole in the engine case there. So we'll put that in, come back in a second. Right, that's in there nice and tight. So the next thing now is to connect this fitting onto it. A bit of oil on the mating surfaces there and the threads because it's soft aluminium, and then that should go on nicely. Right, there we are, nice and tight, looking good. So this pipe comes up here to this sort of area. I'll make a little bracket now to go off there to there, and then we can put that connector on where the oil pressure sender is going to go, and then it can continue up to the top of the turbo there. So I've got this bit of scrap angle here. I've just drilled a hole in it and bolted it down to a spare boss on the cylinder head. Got this P-clip, and the idea is that that will mount something like that just to hold this in place. So the next thing I need to do is mark a hole for the little bolt that holds the P-clip on, drill that out, and then tidy the rest of this up. There's these old welds and sharp corners and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll do that, tidy it all up, make it look nice, and then come back. Right, I've got that oil feed fitting on there. I've got that 90-degree -4 fit in there. There's the pipe, it's just loose at the moment, that goes down to the bracket that I just made there, and this adapter here that allows the 1/8 MPT oil pressure sender to go on. It's actually got 2 ports, so there's a blanking plug to go in one of them because I don't need both of them. But I can't work out the route, let's pull back a bit, I can't work out the route of this pipe yet that goes to there, because somewhere around here back in the car is the header tank for the radiator, that thing there. So I need to make sure I avoid that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave this and then I'll work out where to run this pipe when it all goes back together in the car again, because that's going to be the easiest way to do it. So I think we'll call it a day for this video. Thanks for watching. If you like it, click the like button and subscribe and comment and all that, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks very much. Bye.